Howdy folks, how's it going? I'm here on the Washougal River in Washington State. As you can see, a very pretty spot that I have all to myself. I just spent a hour or so hanging out here, taking a swim and stuff. I'm now going to walk back down the river here to where my car is parked. Not that I actually own a car, but I am currently house sitting for a friend in Portland, Oregon, which is about an hour's drive from here in southern Washington. And this is one of my favorite places. As you can see, a really sweet, peaceful and private little spot that not many people know about. When I lived in Portland, I'm going to start walking here, then I found out about this river in general, and there's all kinds of awesome swimming spots all the way down here. And then just in the course of exploring on my own one day, then I parked at this one place and just walked up the river and then found this really cool spot here. There are awesome little like grooves in the rocks there and some swimming holes and stuff, and a nice little sort of pebble beach you can see there. And so I would come up here pretty regularly in the summers, and only one time that I've ever come up here did I ever see anyone else hanging out at this spot. So I'm going to walk on down the river here. As I said, I got a car parked down there. That car is my friend's car that I'm house sitting for, a truck. She's gone for a couple of weeks, and I'm in the middle of my continuing adventures and trying to figure out what exactly I'm doing next. So as I walk along here, then I thought that I would discuss a topic, the title of this video being the importance of throwing out your holy books. And I do not mean to suggest that I believe that holy books are bad, that one shouldn't be reading, spiritual content, whether it is the Bible or the Quran or the Book of Mormon or A Course in Miracles or the Urantia book or the Pleiadian channelings or right use of will. And that's what I'm going to discuss specifically, is right use of will. Now, I also don't mean to say that these are all equal and the same. I do believe that certain spiritual texts and teachings and offerings of truth are closer to true divine truth than others. Of course, that is just my own personal estimation, but there are some spiritual books out there that I would say are leading people astray in terms of what the real spiritual truth is, and that is kind of a whole different topic. I have my own preferences of various spiritual reading. I could go off on a list here, but that's kind of getting off on a tangent. So I just mentioned right use of will, and so I'm going to tell a little story and also in the process give an explanation for anyone who might have noticed, which a couple of people did and messaged me about it. Notice that I deleted my right use of will videos from my channel here. And the reason is that, just going to show a little more of this beautiful creek. The reason is that I heard back from the people at Right Use of Will directly. Not Cian de Rohan, the author of the Right Use of Will books, but someone who is, in the office or whatever. I actually emailed them and told them about the videos. I was house sitting in Taos, New Mexico prior to this, just a few weeks ago, and that's close to where they're located. And so that was the other reason, is I was just kind of saying hi because I was in the area. And then also just let them know that I'd made these videos with Natalie discussing right use of will. I'd made some previous videos before that as well, a couple of years ago, and I thought they might have known about the videos that I'd done before, because if you search for right use of will on YouTube, then you found my other videos from before. So I didn't think that was necessarily going to be a surprise to them. But I got an email back from a fellow in the Right Use of Will publishing office or whatever, saying that he was rather dismayed about my having made these videos, that isn't what they want, that right use of will is not supposed to be promoted in any way, and that I should have contacted them first before making these videos, because generally the teachings are distorted by other people discussing them. And I wasn't completely, totally 100% surprised by this, but I was a little bit, and I'm going to stop here because there's some people down the river there and finish up this video. But I was a little bit surprised by kind of the sort of bit of a harsh tone that this guy had in the email. He said that I may have actually caused damage by putting them out there, by people coming across them maybe who weren't prepared for those teachings or something like that. Now, he said that he had not actually watched any of the videos. He said we weren't aware of your videos and haven't seen them and don't know the content, and then went on to say that people generally tend to distort or misrepresent or whatever the Right Use of Will books. But he hadn't actually seen the videos, and yet he was saying that he thought that I may have, done harm by discussing this content. Anyone who saw the videos will probably have noticed the fact that the videos were not me practicing right use of will, saying here is what right use of will is, and this is how you should practice it. So I wasn't sort of co-opting the teachings and saying I'm some sort of representative or some sort of a expert in right use of will and this is how you do it or whatever. I was simply discussing the books, giving my own interpretation and making it abundantly clear that this was not endorsed by Sianda Rohan or anything like that, and that this was just my personal interpretation, and that was necessarily going to be subjective and not necessarily entirely what was intended. So I don't see any reason why I had any obligation to contact them first in order to make a video just discussing the books. If I wanted to make a video discussing whatever work by John Steinbeck or T. Corrigan Boyle or Tom Robbins or whatever, you don't have to contact the publisher and say, is it okay if I make a video just talking about my thoughts on this particular book? So I thought that was a little out of line. I thought that it was a little out of line that he suggested I may have caused harm simply by talking about the books, especially considering the fact that he hadn't actually seen any of my videos. And then also he said that I should get back to the real work of focusing on my deep denials. And so this guy knows nothing about me, obviously. He just received this email, doesn't know where I am in the spiritual path, whether I have deep denials or not. I certainly agree that basically everybody on earth has deep denials or whatever. But the general sense that I got, and here's where I'm finally getting to the title of this video, the general sense that I got was kind of that he was so steeped in the books that it had become kind of a cult of sorts for him, and that his whole kind of spiritual framework was wrapped up in the right use of will material, in the language that he used, in the conclusions that he jumped to without knowing anything about me. And then I responded to them, and he wrote back with another message, and it was kind of a little bit along the same line, just kind of a little talking down a little bit, despite the fact that I am somebody who has read the books, the whole series of 8 books through a good 2 or 3 times, and know the material very well and have great respect for it and have learned a lot from it, and certainly meant no harm or anything along those lines, and yet his tone was kind of denigrating towards me. So I really didn't take it all that personally or anything, but this kind of gets to the concept of throwing out your holy books, in that I think it is quite possible to get so wrapped up in a spiritual teaching that you lose your own subjective personal perception of reality, and that you start relying on the spiritual teaching like a crutch. The spiritual path is really not about, adopting some sort of a written paradigm that somebody else hands down to you, that you memorize word for word and learn exactly what the recommendations are for particular situations. Is the book say you should do it like this, and these are the answers to life's problems, and you should not get so deep into a spiritual teaching that you lose your own personal, subjective, individual perception of reality, and your own ability to make choices and decisions and orient your life through your own thinking processes and your own understandings. I believe that all of these spiritual teachings are many of them can be very powerful and very illustrative and open up our minds and our souls and our hearts and all this. But they are ultimately a crutch, and obviously that is not a bad thing. Crutches are good. If you have a broken leg, then you want a crutch in order to get yourself along until you get to that point where you can walk on your own two legs. But the ultimate point is to be able to walk on your own two legs and not be relying on a crutch forever. And so that's kind of the ultimate point here, is that spiritual teachings should not become something that we are completely dependent on and reliant on, and that basically we can't think for ourselves, that we can't think outside of the paradigm of that spiritual teaching that is being offered. So whether it is Right Use of Will or A Course in Miracles or the Bible or whatever, then I think that these can be very, very powerful and help a lot in moving us along and opening up our minds to understanding reality better and the way things work. But it should be a catalyst that propels us along, and then we leave it behind. Kind of like the space shuttle, how it has those fuel canisters, whatever they're called, that propel it up into the air, and then it releases them and they fall back to Earth, and the shuttle keeps on going. You need to be able to steer your life on your own without having to always think back to, well, what would this book say that I should do in this situation? What is Jesus's answer to this particular situation? We shouldn't be thinking inside the heads of other people in order to make up our own minds about our own lives and how we're going to deal with situations and everything. So that was just kind of my general impression from this guy in the Right Use of Will office. Sounded like he was a little too deep into the teachings, to the point that he had no real perception, of who am I and what was my intentions, but it was just all that you should get back to the content of the books and focus on your deep denials. And he wasn't really relating to me from a place of open-mindedness and open-heartedness. He could have acknowledged, well, I'm sure that you have respect for the books, that you're that interested in them, that you want to make videos and share them with others, and that you want to try to understand and make use of this powerful material and stuff like that. But there was none of that. It was just, you probably did a bad thing by recording these videos, and so I did take them down because I didn't want to go against their wishes, but I didn't have to, and I didn't feel personally that there was any great harm that was going to come about from discussing the material as I was. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming along on this little walk through the creek, Washougal River, and just stay, don't forget about your personal truth. That's what it comes down to, is that your personal truth is important. Don't allow any other outside source of information to ultimately trump your own personal perception of reality. They can enhance it, they can add to it, they can help shift us into other ways of being and seeing and perceiving and living, but they should not become something that is embedded in our perception to the point that we basically can't live our lives without it. All right, thanks for watching. Take it.